what we're going to do is we're going to, I mean, I'm not going to assume a lot about like knowledge as far as programming goes. It will definitely help if you've done programming before, but it's not necessary because we're going to start really basic. And so a lot of this may be like total review, right? Like probably, I'm just walking around, most of you guys know a lot of this stuff, but I'll just cover it so that if you don't, you'll have an idea of what we're doing. So Go is a compiled programming language, and that means you write code, and then there's a compiler which transfers that code into something the computer can run. And so that's different than like JavaScript or Ruby or Python that are interpreted, right? You write your code and you just run it sort of directly. And that's why we had to install this, is to install the tool chain which makes it so you can compile programs. And the example, if everybody got Tetris working, that's a Go program that somebody wrote. It's written in Go. In fact, we could see it on that. If I can get the. We can see the source code for it, and you can see that it was just a Go program. One of the neat things about Go is this path, which is where the code is from, is also a URL, so you can paste it directly, and you can see all the code for the program, right? And so this is a Go program for the Tetris game. And when we installed it, it took this, compiled it, and created an executable. And so we could see the executable. If you do ls$gopath/bin, I have a bunch of stuff installed in there, but you would see Tetris inside there. And when you ran Tetris, it's running that program. And so that program is written in something that the computer understands directly, so it's executed directly by the computer. And that's why it's compiled. So let's go back to our book here. So Go programs are files, right? Files and folders. Folders have files. Does everybody know that? Like basic, you know how to use like Windows Explorer or Mac Finder, that kind of thing. We tend to use so Go comes from a family of programming languages that's heavily focused on the terminal. And so when you guys did JavaScript before, you were doing it in the browser, right? And you'd run your program. It'd be like an HTML page, and it would execute your JavaScript code. But Go is a command line programming language. So you typically compile using a command line app. So that's why we use the terminal. So did everybody get the terminal working when we were walking through the code?
So we don't need to download like a compiler?
We did that. That's when we installed Go. We installed it. So when you type Go space version, it's running the compiler, and that's one of the flags that it supports. So we typically use the terminal when we're using Go, okay? And so the basic process for writing Go software is you write your code, you save it, and then you go to Go and you run a command to compile it. And then you execute your binary, okay? Is everybody following that idea?
Say it one more time.
So you write your code, save it to a file with an extension of .go, and then you compile that using the Go compiler, and then you execute the compiled result. Okay, and that's the same process you'd use for C or C++. It's also the same you'd use for Java or .NET, but they typically sort of hide that in the editor and you don't see it very often. But it's the same basic process, okay? And so we use the terminal a lot with Go because that's its like main way of working. We're not using the editor. We're not clicking a button to say run the code. We're using the terminal to do that. And so a basic familiarity with the terminal is very helpful. I noticed there were some things over there listed, so maybe you guys have done a little bit of this, but basically in OS X or Linux, you can use ls to list a folder. You can use cd to change the folder. This tilde, if you can see that, it's kind of hard to see, is the home directory, right? So if I did this, you can see it's like /user/Caleb. Yours would probably be different, obviously. And so we can walk around. So if I list folders, I go to downloads, right? And now I'm in the downloads folder. And that's the place where I'm working. I can use ls to see what's in there. I can go up using ... Okay, this ... And that takes me back up. Everybody following? You're always in this context of looking at a certain folder. So that's basically how you work with files and folders from the terminal, okay? And you're doing the same thing you would be doing in Windows Explorer. You're just doing it from the terminal. And so from the terminal, we can delete files using RM or DEL in Windows. But we're using the git bash, so you can use the RM, right? So I can delete this folder file. Be careful with that, because it does delete it. It's not like it throws it in the trash, it deletes it, so it's gone. And so that we'll often be doing that. But I'm not gonna spend a ton of time talking about, there's hundreds, if not thousands of commands, right? And learning how to use bash and all that stuff is helpful, but we're just gonna use a very basic set of them when we're using Go, okay? But definitely worthwhile to learn. Those skills translate to lots of other programming languages. And actually, Node.js, which is interpreted, it uses the command line a lot too, the terminal a lot. So the similar flow. Okay, so that's that. And then the final piece, sort of background stuff we do is the text editor. So if everybody has Atom open, or something like Atom, so Sublime or so this is like our main, this is how we write our software, is we're going to use a text editor. And a text editor, it's like a word processor, it's just, has no formatting. You just write text, okay? And Go programs are written in just plain text. So when you start Atom, I think it normally doesn't start with the folders on the left here. I think it starts with just the window. You can add those folders by, let's see, go file, add project folder. And what we want to do is browse to your home directory /source, okay? So mine's a little different, but if you went to your home directory, you'd have the source folder, and then you click open, and then it would show you this tree of stuff. Okay, everybody following that?
Where was the folder again? Sorry, it was in
File, add, project folder, and then your home directory, which, depending on what operating system you're using, can be a little tricky to get to, but you can go up here, right, and then it'd be in here. Your source would be in here. Mine's a little different, but it's the same idea. And then you should have this tree, and in fact, you should have a GitHub / that Koku bun or whatever it's called / Tetris in your source folder, because when we ran go git, it pulled all those files down. But what we're going to do,
chain you just described, where the Tetris name mentioned?
it matches the URL we used for this github.com /kokubun /Tetris. There you go. And that's where it would be inside the Atom, okay?
Right.
Just like we saw with Gold, and then we also saw this with Bower, there's a certain way that when you download other people's code to use it, in Gold and Bower, they have a certain way of storing other people's files. You can look in the directory and traverse those. The way for storing files in Go is you have something called a workspace, and that workspace is where you're going to do your work. And so that's just a folder that you keep, that's where you're going to do your work. And inside your workspace, you need to have your package folder, your PKG folder, your bin folder, BIN, and that's short for binary, and then source, SRC. And inside SRC, you have a folder, github.com, and then inside that, you're going to have user accounts. And a lot of Go code is from GitHub. You can put on GitHub. And so if you say go git and issue that command, it'll go get the code of this GitHub repo, bring it down, put it in your workspace under source GitHub, and then their username, and then whatever folders they've created for their end files for their thing to run. And so you get this listing of all these different GitHub usernames under your github.com folder that has code that you want to work with or use.
So should we make a folder inside our source folder?
Yeah, so that's what we'll do now, is we're going to make our first Go program. And so I have this examples folder. So create, you can right click on the source up here and say new folder. And then create an examples.
Can you blow that up a little bit?
Yeah.
And Caleb, anytime I say something wrong, or you have another perspective, like, yeah, that's one way, but other people see it this way, feel free to, throw in your 2 cents.
At what step in the installation process did we save all this stuff to SRC? Like
When we ran go get and the Tetris thing,
that's what saved it all?
it did that on our behalf. And that's where it put all the code. So create an examples folder, and we'll make another folder in here, and we'll just call it hello. So you should have source/examples/hello, and then create a new file inside of here, and call it main.go, so main.go. Main is a traditional name for the sort of entry point to a program. So, and then what you want to type, everybody here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh God. What ethics? He messed up Tetris. This is letting the one go down now. I fixed the environmental variable.
Yeah.
Oh, you fixed the thing that
Yeah.
stopped?
I'll show you that.
Okay, so you'll type package main, and then you'll have func main, and then before func main, you want to do import fmt in double quotes, okay? And then we're going to type fmt.println.
So when I type package main, it actually creates the function.
Yeah, just undo that. It's because it's
Undo it? Okay,
and it should like put it back.
yeah.
Are you Meteor? Or, sorry, Adam?
I'm using Adam.
But this is just text, right? You could use Notepad. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could. So everybody have this?
Getting it?
It's super important to get all the
Caleb, how do you make new folders in, do you have to make the folders in, first of all, do you have to make the folders in the,
Right click.
in the OS, or do you have to make can't make the folders in Sublime?
You can work in Sublime, I think.
I don't remember Sublime.
You just mean like creating the folders like below, right?
I think there's another way you can create folders, and that's with the terminal. Did you guys figure it out? Okay. .go. That's the extension for Go programs. Okay. So this file is main.go. It's in, technically it's in this folder. So
tell me I got a format tool missing, lint tool in Adam.
And your GoPad is just making the documents in.
So that's the folder, GoPath source examples hello. If you're not familiar with the $GoPath here, that's an environmental variable. And that was part of the chore of getting everything set up, is your operating system has a whole bunch of environment variables that it defines. And we needed to set those. So Go uses one called GoPath. And you use the $sign before it, and in Windows it would be %, but we're using Bash, so you use the $sign. And so echo $GoPath will show you what the value of GoPath is, okay? And mine's not sure Go, but yours is like /user/whatever/ well, just their home directory. So that's what we're looking at here is this program. And so with Go, the name of your program is the full path to it as far as where you store code and stuff. So that's why the github.com example is like the whole path. But it's always under the Go path, right? Okay. So if we open a terminal, did everybody get this written? Everybody good on this? No?
You don't have to get it to run. We're just writing it, we're not running it. You're gonna show us how to run it.
Yeah, I'm going to show you how to run it in a second, but did everybody get it typed in? Any problems?